Good morning. We're doing our very first Q&A today. I've been getting questions about workouts, workout techniques, how to schedule workouts, motivation all week. So I decided to bring them all together and do a Q&A for you. So I hope you enjoy this. As always, I love to answer your questions. If you ever have any, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And I'm going to make sure to get back to them. I always get back to my comments, and best of all, if you're watching this on the replay, I'm actually going to put the time markers of each of the questions so that if you can skip ahead to the ones that are important to you and that you actually want to know the answer to. So I'm just going to pull up the questions here. If you give me a second, I'm really excited to be sharing this with you guys today. So I'm just pulling up our questions here that I asked in my Facebook group last night. If you guys aren't part of this community, I highly recommend you to join. It's called She Takes Action. It's for women just like you who are, sometimes we're struggling. Why can't my habits stick? Why can't I go to the gym day after day? Why can't I seem to eat enough fruits and vegetables? So what I do is I give you action steps and teach you how to develop lifelong habits that make a difference. So my name is Tanessa Shears. I'm really excited to get started with you guys. So let's get going with questions here. So I've got about 6 questions here that were submitted, and I'm really excited for that. So let's talk about the first question. The first 3 questions come from Brenda. And Brenda, the first question is, what duration do you recommend for upper and lower body strength training? So I want to first start off by saying that any information that I give is always based on personal experience. And of course, you're going to want to make sure it fits your lifestyle and your schedule. So when I'm working with clients, there's 2 different ways that we talk about this. There's my opinion on what works for me, but when I'm working with a client, my questions are more, well, what does your schedule look like? What will you stick to doing? So I want to find a balance between that today. Thanks for the hearts. Okay, so my duration. Right now, I'm currently doing only 2 to 3 days of strength training a week because I like to change it up and keep it fresh. So for me personally, I like to be, if possible, in and out of the gym in 60 minutes. I feel that I get so much done in 60 minutes, and if you're taking an hour and a half to 2 hours, there is a very good chance that you could probably shorten some of your rest periods to help speed this up. So my current upper body routine takes about 45 minutes, and that's it. I usually pair things as supersets, and my cat is scratching away at my chair. Okay, so I pair them up as supersets. If you don't know what superset means, it is a way of organizing your workouts in which you do move A followed right by move B. And I do them as opposing body parts. So I do move A as a push and B as a pull. And I superset these back and forth. So I'll do, maybe a push-up and a row. Push-up, row, 3 sets, move on right away. So I get anywhere from 4 to 5 of these supersets in the span of my 45-minute to 60-minute workout. I really find that as long as I'm hitting all the different planes of movement, that's all I need to matter. That's all that matters to me. So I want you to think about this. When I go into the gym, I'm doing a push this way, a pull this way, a push this way, a pull this way, a push this way, a pull this way, a push this way, a pull this way. So I'm looking at all the different angles that my arms are moving and making sure that it's balanced and equal. So my upper body workouts, I'm technically in and out, and it's a push-pull day in 45 to 50 minutes maximum. I go pretty quick. As far as my lower body days, these ones usually take a little bit longer. So these can be anywhere from 60 to 75 minutes tops. And the reason for this is because on my lower body days, I like to do heavy deadlifts. I like to do heavy squats. And because I go pretty heavy on these, I like to do several warm-up sets. So if I'm, doing a 180-pound deadlift, I want to make sure that I'm warming up at all the different intervals, maybe 4 or 5 warm-up sets on the way up. So for me, exercise has always been about creating balance in my life and feeling good. So if I'm not warming up properly and I injure myself and I'm not able to do that, that's not that good. So that's why my lower body days take longer. I also don't do as much supersetting. So something like deadlifts I will keep by themselves, or maybe even squats if I'm going really heavy. But the other stuff I do, so I might do, a set of lunges and a set of step-ups together, or a set of straight leg deadlifts and, the hip opener machine. I might superset those back and forth. So to keep that nice and quick, for the most part, it's going to depend on your schedule and how much time you have. For me, I like to keep it about 45 to 50 minutes for upper body and an hour to hour 15 for lower body. All right, question number 2. Do you eat before or after your workouts in the morning? So I did a really great video all about fasted workouts. So fasted workouts are when you eat without, or you work out without eating first. I'll link that in the comments below when I'm done this video so that you can have a look on that. There's lots of research that shows both ways, but my personal preference, I always eat before my workouts. I've had too many incidents where I've gone into the gym and I felt really lightheaded. Just due to, if I haven't eaten in 12 hours, my blood sugar is going to be low. How can I expect to perform my best if I'm not fueling my body? I mean, my goals are not about how I look in the mirror, it's how I feel on the inside. So if I'm dragging through a workout, it's just not going to suit me and my lifestyle. So for the most part, I always eat before, but I watch what I eat. I'm not going to go and stuff myself and then go to the gym. So that kind of leads into our next question. If before, what do you eat so as not to interfere with your workout? So personally, I like to eat complex carbohydrates before a workout. So a complex carbohydrate is anything that has whole wheat or whole grains. These things usually have more fiber than, white breads or white rices or cereals and stuff like that. And the reason I choose these is because whole grains and complex carbohydrates tend to break down slower in terms of the glucose, which is blood sugar, that it releases. So I want you to think about this. Something that is a complex carbohydrate, like oatmeal, that's my favorite, it releases energy slowly over the next couple hours, so you don't get a crazy insulin spike. I like to release it nice and slow so that my workouts are fueled the entire time evenly. I find if I eat something that is really a simple carbohydrate, like a muffin or cereal, granola, that kind of stuff, I get a big blood sugar spike, and about halfway through my workout, I crash pretty hard, and I find I get really tired. So that's kind of what I do. What I actually eat before my workouts, I am the most boring person in the world, but totally okay with it. I eat the same thing every single day. So I get up at 6:30, and then I always make myself a cup of coffee, and I eat a third cup of that quick Quaker oats, the third cup of that, tablespoon of chia seeds, a half cup of blueberries, and a bunch of strawberries. Put it in the microwave for about 1:40. I eat that and drink coffee. So that gets me that slow releasing blood sugar. And the caffeine, what's kind of neat about caffeine is it acts on the brain to help decrease your perception of your effort. So with a little caffeine during your workout, you actually feel like you're not working quite as hard. And I like that, especially on a leg day. I don't want to feel how hard those squats are. When I get home, so literally I just got home maybe 45 minutes ago, one of the first things that I do is I eat my protein then. Why don't I eat my protein before? Because it takes too long to cook. And that's just the simple truth of it. When I get home, I have more time. What I actually eat is anywhere from 6 to 8 egg whites and 1 egg. I scramble them and I eat them, and then I have my second cup of coffee, which is probably why you always see me with the second cup of coffee in these videos. So that's what I eat personally. If I were to make a choice, you want to make sure that you always have a source of protein in every kind of clumped meal, and something that has some fruits or vegetables and some complex carbohydrates. So that's the answer to that question. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. How important is the breathing at the right time? And Robin was specifically asking this with strength training. And she said that, I've heard a lot of different things, and then I was told I don't know. I always heard it was breathe in on the way up, out on the way down. But there's one fundamental issue with the breathe up, out on the way down, or whatever like that, is because different exercises are loaded in different directions. So I'm going to give you an example here because you can see my arms. So I want you to think of a lat pull down. So where you're sitting on the lat pull down machine, there's the bar above your head and you're pulling down this way. What way are you pulling against gravity? So I want you to think about this. If the weight is coming from the above and you're doing a lat pull down, this way here is going to be when you're exerting force, and this is the recovery phase. Exerting force, recovery phase. Now take a look at this. You always want to exhale on the working phase of a movement. So take a look. I would exhale here, inhale, release. Exhale here, inhale, release. So that is how I always check to see if I'm breathing the right way, and there's a couple reasons for this. Number one, You have a little flap in the back of your throat called the uvula. When you do not breathe during exercise, that is called the Valsalva effect. And essentially what it does is it drives up blood pressure really quick to the brain. And this can actually cause, I mean, in rare occasions, it can cause increased stress on the blood vessels in the brain. And in like severe, rare cases, it has caused, ruptures in blood vessels in the brain, aneurysms, bleeding out through the eyes. Like, this is not what is likely going to happen. I'm telling you that this is why we advise against it, because if you are susceptible to any kind of aneurysms or any, blood pressure issues, if you are holding your breath during an exercise, you put increased strain on the vascular system, which is your blood vessels, and we don't want that. So you always want to be exhaling on the work phase. Reason number 2 I get you to exhale on the work phase is I want you to try this. You're sitting in your chair right now, and I want you to exhale forcefully through your mouth, but I want you to put your hand on your stomach first. So I want you to put your hand on your stomach, and I want you to exhale forcefully through your mouth. Try it again. What happened to your abdominals? You'll notice forceful exhale causes your abdominals to brace. Why I like this is because during the work phase of a movement, if you are exhaling, it causes your abdominals to brace, which essentially increases the pressure in this cavity, which is your thoracic and abdominal cavity, and that actually supports and stabilizes through the body and especially the spine. Now, this is especially important because if you're doing an exercise which puts load on the spine, it acts as a hug around your spine and your muscles to really help. So that's something that I always focus on, is that exhale during the power phase of the movement. So we talked about lat pull down, meaning if the bar's up here and you're pulling down and the cable's pulling from up, you want to go. Okay, so we got that one. So I'm going to give you 2 tests to make sure that you got this. I want you to picture, so something you can see here. Let's picture a shoulder press, okay? So you've got your dumbbells in your hands. You're sitting here, and the exercise is to push the dumbbells over your head, bring them back down, dumbbells overhead, back down. So I want you to ask yourself, where is the breathing? I'm going to give you a couple seconds. I want you to think about it. Where would you breathe out? Okay, so here's where you breathe out. I always said you're going to exhale on the work phase of the movement. So the work phase is lifting the dumbbells. So you would exhale here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Does that make sense? So if you contrast those 2 exercises I just showed you, you breathe in on the opposite way. You breathe in on the way down here and in on the way up in the lat pull down. So to say that you always breathe in on the way down or always breathe in on the way up is not actually true. It has to do with the phase that you are working the hardest. So the lift phase of the movement. I'm going to give you one more just to make sure you got the hang of it, and I'm hoping you can see me. Okay, so I'm going to move this back. Okay. So I want you to think of doing a squat, okay? So think of your squat as you're going to come down and you're going to come back up. You're going to come down and you're going to come back up. So I want you to think, where is the work phase? So I want you to think of a squat right now. I want you to picture yourself with a weight in your hand or your bar on the back, and I want you to think of dropping down and then lifting back up. Where is the work phase? Where is the part where you're working the hardest? And you know where it is. It's on the way up. So where would you breathe? If you always breathe during the work phase of the movement, it's going to be on the way up. So take a look. I want you to inhale, exhale. So I really hope that helps. I really hope that helps make sense to you when to breathe, because it is super important to know when you're breathing during your exercises. So it's always exhale on the work phase of the movement. Got it? Okay. Got 2 more questions on here, I believe. Jojo asks, how do you keep the motivation going? Okay. I have 4 simple steps on how I keep the motivation going. I'm not sure if I'm going to remember all 4, but what I am definitely going to do is I'm going to link in the comments below after this video. I think I created this freebie giveaway, 4 simple steps to motivation a couple years ago. I am going to link that so you can go and look through that. However, let's talk about them briefly. There's a couple ways that I think about motivation. Number 1 is, if you wait to be motivated to change your life, to go out and exercise, to feel good, you will never get anything done. So I want you to think about your exercising. If you wake up in the morning and you wait to be motivated to go to the gym, or to go running or yoga or whatever it is, there's going to be a lot of the times you're going to be sitting at home because you don't want to do it, or you'll skip it. So my biggest tip is actually for sustaining motivation is actually don't rely on motivation. You want to find activities that you wake up excited to do. And this goes for anything in life. Like with me, with building my online community right now and with my coaching clients, if I woke up every day and was like, yeah, I'm so motivated to answer emails and do accounting, I would never get it done. There are some things you're just going to have to grind through, but at the end of the day, you want to choose activities that pull you out of bed. Does that make sense? So I'm going to give you an example. I was getting really bored with my workout routine, and I couldn't find anything, and I was, getting a little stressed out, and so I started running and listening to podcasts on productivity at the same time. Is that productive? Like, I feel that's really productive, listening to podcasts on productivity while I'm running. Anyways, so I just came back from one this morning, and I found that there's something called rhythmic meditation, and it's when you do something like running, because it's very rhythmic, and it's meditative, and I have my podcast in, and it honestly feels like I have just given my brain and my heart the most luxurious therapy session. Like, I get home from these runs and my brain is like sparking with ideas, and my heart is full, and my body feels good, my lungs feel good. So I enjoy this activity so much that it pulls me out of bed in the morning. You don't think I'm excited for Thursdays to come around because my favorite podcast is released and I get to listen to it on a run and feel amazing all day? Absolutely. So my big thing is find something that inspires you. As far as, the little things to keep you excited along the way, I always say make sure you have a good playlist of music that is updated and fun and, catchy and gets you up and moving around, because a new playlist will definitely spark a lot of enthusiasm. Sometimes it feels good to go and buy some new workout clothes or workout shoes or some new headphones. Sometimes that can really get you excited. The other thing I say about trying to generate motivation is it's a principle I call commit for 5. So there are absolutely days where you and we wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to go to the gym. There are days like that. And that is normal, and to expect anything else is just not realistic. So I always say to myself, Tanessa, we are going to commit for 5 minutes. I'm going to go start my run, start my swim, go to the gym, whatever's on the schedule that day, and I'm going to commit for 5 minutes. And if at the end of 5 minutes I genuinely do not want to continue, guess what happens? I go home, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do. But I want you to think about this. When do you start to feel good in a workout? It's never getting your shoes on in the morning. It's never on the drive there. And it's never during your warm-up. It's when you get into a good song and, you get your heart rate pumping, endorphins are going, you're starting to feel good, your energy is building. This is the point where I want you to decide whether or not you want to go home. And I can tell you, I have never once gone home after I have committed, because the process of getting started a workout is so much harder than maintaining it. So commit for 5 is one of the biggest things to help generate that feeling of pushing forward. So the same thing is if you have, you've got to clean your kitchen. I don't know, let's think of something like that. And you're like, oh my God, this is going to take forever. Commit for 5. Commit for 5 minutes. And if at the end of 5 minutes you're good for now, you're good for now. But the chances are you're going to have momentum going and you're just going to whip through that task. So those are my tips. I'll remember to link those in the description below, those that little freebie gift with all the different ones. All right, last question. This comes from Brenda, as she says, I know you schedule your workouts in advance. I do the scheduling, but get up in the morning and put off workouts so they don't get done. How can I change my mindset to make my workouts a daily priority? All right, I love this question because I struggled with this for a long time and I've mastered it, and I can tell you how I did it. And Brenda, if my idea resonates with you but you want to discuss it further with me, just shoot me a Facebook message and I'll help you develop a little more specific to you strategy. But I'm going to tell you what I did. So for the longest time, I would set my alarm clock at 6:30 in the morning. I mean, I don't really start training clients until 3 or 2 in the afternoon because I do all work from home. So I don't really have a reason to get up. And I was like, set it for 6:30. I'm going to be at the gym by 7:30. And I can't even tell you how many months went by where I wouldn't get to the gym till 9:30, 10:30. And then I wouldn't get home till 1. And like, it was just messy. It was messy and it wasn't very fun. It was a bad feeling. I knew I was wasting my time. And there's something really interesting that happens. Every time you make a decision to put off a workout, even if it's in 5 minutes, I'll go. In 10 minutes, I'll go. You are asking your brain to make a decision. Now, the more you ask your brain to make a decision, every time you do that, your willpower actually drops. There's been so much research to show that our brain has about the capacity for 200 decisions in a day, and our willpower is always strongest in the morning. So every time you use up one of those decision ticks on, okay, I'll go in 5 minutes. I'll go in 5 minutes. Your willpower to go actually decreases. And I'm sure you can feel that, whether it's in the gym or, going to bed on time and stop watching Netflix, or there's a billion other things you can apply it to. So I was finding that was happening to me, and I was like, why is it taking so long? Well, I started looking at the activities I was doing in the morning, and the first one I was like, well, I'm making breakfast. But making my breakfast and eating it is taking me like an hour, because I'm making my oatmeal, I'm scrambling my eggs, I'm making my coffee, I'm doing all this stuff, and it's taking so long that I'm actually just completely deflating in the energy I had when I woke up. So what I actually did was I said to myself, I decided ahead of time that I'm going to be in the gym at 7:30 a.m. every morning. And I figured, okay, I've got to somehow shrink my morning routine. So what I do is I get up at 6:30. I make my bed. I go downstairs. I only make the oatmeal and the coffee because the scrambled eggs take too long to make. I eat those when I come home. So now I've compressed my morning routine down to about half an hour, and really that's only because it takes that long for me to drink coffee. Otherwise, I'm sure it would be less than that. So it's now about 7 a.m., half an hour, and then I take about 10 minutes to throw my clothes on, and I'm out the door by 7:15. But I want you to think about this. If you've identified what is taking you so long in the morning, or what is causing you to procrastinate, and it still doesn't work, I want you to ask yourself if you've truly decided that exercise is something that is a priority for you. So here's what you can think of. I have decided ahead of time that I will never smoke cigarettes. So when the situation ever came up when I was younger, when I was a teenager, if somebody was ever around and offered me a cigarette, I never had to make a decision. I wasn't deciding. It was no. The same thing with working out. I have already decided ahead of time that I am going to work out 5 days a week. So when I get up in the morning, I'm not having to make a decision to go to the gym. I go to the gym. So I'm sure there are things in your life. Maybe you don't drink. Maybe if someone offers you, maybe actually, how about this? This is a great example. If you are a vegan and somebody offers you a hamburger, do you have to sit there and make a decision about whether you should eat the hamburger? The fact is, no, you don't. You've made that decision ahead of time, so you don't ever have to get stuck making a decision whether or not you should eat it. So the same thing goes with your workouts, with your decisions to eat healthy, with your decisions to be productive, to clean up after yourself, to go to bed on time, to get 8 hours of sleep. If you have decided ahead of time that this is who I am, these are the decisions I make about these things, you never have to worry about making that decision in the moment. So one of the things I want you to think about, Brenda, now that you have it in your schedule, I want you to commit to the idea that you're doing them. You're doing them. You are the type of person who wakes up in the morning and you exercise. It's not a discussion with yourself. It's just something you do. It's something you do, just like I say no to cigarettes, and just like a vegan says no to a hamburger, you say yes to your workouts. I say yes to my workouts. So I want you to think about that. After you've eliminated all the distractions in the morning, get going as early as you can, because every minute you wait, your willpower is going to drop. I want you to get up and go, and then I want you to be the type of person who knows that when it comes to my workouts, the answer is always yes. There's no discussion. All right, we've wrapped up our Q&A. thank you if you're still here. My goodness. I just had a lot to say about that. And I know I need to learn to be a little more brief. However, I just want to share with you guys. I always have lots to share. I love that you're here. Thank you so much. If you're part of our She Takes Action community, I appreciate you being here. If you're not part of it yet, please head over. It's on Facebook, She Takes Action. We do daily discussions every day, Q&As. We talk about ways to improve our habits, our lives, our fitness, and our health and our well-being. Again, my name is Tanessa Shears. I appreciate you. I will talk to you guys next week. Don't forget, if you have questions, ask them. I answer them. That's my job. That's what I love to do. We'll talk later, guys.